Welcome back to the immune system. And this short lecture will discuss some basic functions of the immune system and some ideas of innate or non-specific immunity. So, get started. This first slide is describing some basic immune system functions. So, it protects you, the body, against a wide variety of other biological pathogens. Here are some examples that I would like you to remember. Some broad categories: organisms, bacteria, and some examples that I would like you to remember. Bordetella pertussis is the bacteria, so it's a two-part name. That's the scientific name, Bordetella pertussis, and it causes the disease pertussis, or whooping cough. It's bacterial. Gonorrhea, very common STD, sexually transmitted disease, particularly here in Yakima County. It's caused by bacterium Neisseria gonorrhea, and also chlamydia. There are several species of chlamydia bacteria that also cause STD. So those are some common organisms that are diseases that are caused by bacteria, and your immune system protects against those. There are a variety of viruses. There's human immunodeficiency virus, and this, of course, is HIV. So I would like you to know what HIV stands for. It causes the disease AIDS. There's hepatitis. Several strains of it, A, B, and C. There are parasitic worms, which are sometimes also referred to as helminths. For example, tapeworm, various liver flukes, and schistosomiasis, which is a devastating disease in much of the developed or underdeveloped world, transmitted by snails. Is with a complex life cycle. But those are worms, parasitic worms, schistosomiasis, various flukes, and tapeworms. Fungi are also common pathogens. They form ringworm. So the disease ringworm is not caused by a worm, it's caused by a fungus. And then pneumocystis pneumoniae. So different types of pneumonia, inflammation in the lungs and disease of the lungs are caused by fungi. Protozoa, single-celled organisms, things like malaria, giardia, amoebic dysentery are caused by protozoa. So I would like you to be able to maybe match up some of these disease-causing organisms with their category of classification. Are they bacteria, worms, protozoa, etc.? I would like you to recognize some of those common diseases. The immune system also protects against foreign molecules or toxins. For example, maybe pollen, seasonal allergies. The immune system also protects and removes dead or damaged cells. So one idea is that it's the immune system that helps to remove cancer cells. And sometimes the immune system is overwhelmed and can't keep up, and cancer prevails. But the idea is that the immune system may remove cancer cells before a cancer actually develops, which goes along with the removing abnormal body cells. Okay? So some basic functions of the immune system. Protection against a wide variety of pathogens and foreign molecules. The next slide presents some ideas of when the immune system goes wrong, various immune system pathologies. So we can have an incorrect immune response where the immune system of your body is targeting your own cells, and those are autoimmune diseases. Some examples of where your immune system targets your own cells: type 1 diabetes, destroys insulin-producing cells in the pancreas. Multiple sclerosis is autoimmune. rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, Crohn's. There's a wide variety of autoimmune diseases. Your own immune system that's inappropriately destroying your own cells. Other immune system disorders can involve where the immune system is overactive, such as allergies, and an extreme allergic condition is anaphylaxis that we'll look at, where the immune system response is inappropriately strong. We can also have a lack of immune response. And in those people where the immune system is compromised, their immune system isn't protecting them. And immunodeficiency diseases such as AIDS. And AIDS stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. The causative agent of AIDS is HIV. So this slide is introducing some ideas of innate immunity. And the idea here is that these immune functions are non-specific. It's supposed to be an N. So there's no memory involved. These are immune system functions that will work against a wide variety of pathogens in general. So intact epidermis and mucosal membranes, just a physical barrier. The bacteria, the fungi have a difficult time getting through the skin unless there's a cut or a tear, and that opens up an avenue for infection. The flushing action of tears and saliva just flushes pathogens, bacteria, virus, etc. off of the skin, off of the mucosal membranes. Urine, urethra, etc. The mucus layer in the respiratory tract traps airborne bacteria, airborne fungi in the mucus, and then that mucus layer is swept up out of the lower respiratory tract where you either swallow it or spit it out. That occurs all day long. Lysozyme is a naturally produced enzyme, and the enzyme breaks down bacteria, and it is found in tears, saliva, and mucus. So let's just write in that lysozyme lyses many types of bacteria. Not all. You can learn about which ones in microbiology. But it splits, lyses bacteria. Low pH of the stomach and the vagina is hostile to bacteria that are not well adapted to those areas. And this idea of the normal flora, which is the normal bacteria load that you have on your skin and body surfaces. These are good bacteria. They are adapted for the surface of your skin, the surface of the epithelial membranes, and they outcompete would-be pathogens. They don't allow opportunistic pathogens to sort of get a toehold and get established. Now, you can disrupt the normal flora, and that can have implications on your ability to resist disease. So the first line of defense is the way it's sometimes described, and involves inflammation, which we'll get to here very soon. But this is a non-specific injury or response to tissue injury. So it occurs non-specifically, general response. It's innate, meaning it's sort of you're born with it, if you will, and there's no memory. So the cardinal signs of inflammation are these four. Cardinal, the main points. You should know these. heat, pain, redness, and swelling. And I'm going to change this see board notes to see next slide. For inflammation. General, nonspecific response to tissue injury. Heat, pain, redness, and swelling. If you see those, you think inflammation. So here's a slide that goes through much of this. And this is what I used to draw on the board, but I'm doing it on a slide now. So there's a couple of things to note. One is you can just walk through the numbers 1 through 4, panels 1 through 4, the figures across the top. It sort of works as written fairly well. So the first thing that happens is that there's injury to the skin in this example. And bacteria are introduced and the immune system kicks in. And there, in the immune system, there is just a withering barrage of chemical signals that are released from all kinds of different cells. Macrophages, the tissue cells themselves, bacterial toxins, other cells of the immune system. There's a vast interplay of different chemical signals, and the whole story is incredibly complex and confusing. Nobody really understands how the whole thing works, but we do understand pieces of it. So I'm just going to introduce some very basic ideas. Something to watch for are mast cells. We're going to counter those repeatedly. And mast cells release histamine, one of the things that they do. We'll see this repeatedly. And one of the things that does, histamine, is that it causes capillaries to widen and become more permeable. So we already talked about how these capillaries have little pores in them, little slits that allow the small stuff to escape. Well, as the capillary dilates and becomes more leaky, larger components of the blood can escape, particularly some clotting factors. So with the increased blood flow from the histamine causing vasodilation, increased blood flow will give us the redness and the heat, which are two of those 4 cardinal signs of inflammation due to the increased blood flow. As the blood vessels or the capillaries become leaky, fluid, antimicrobial proteins, and clotting elements move from the blood to the site and clotting begins. And so as the fluid moves from the blood to the site out into the tissues, that produces the swelling. Again, from leaky capillaries. And chemokines, there's all kinds of names for these classes of chemicals. Cytokines is in the news now with COVID-19. Talk about a cytokine storm where your immune system cells overdo it and release a flood of different cytokines that result in tissue damage and injury, which is one of the disease processes by which the lungs are destroyed or badly damaged with COVID-19 due to a cytokine storm. And the swelling just allows sort of a blockage or restriction in movement of the bacteria. It sort of walls them off and isolates them to the site. And then neutrophils, macrophages, and other immune system cells move in, ultimately clean up the debris and allows the tissue to heal itself. That would be the normal route or the normal sequence of injury, inflammation, and repair. So remember those 4 basic cardinal signs of inflammation and some of the processes that occur. And the next short little lecture will be on leukocytes.